This is Gary Thibodeau. In June of 1995, he was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison for the kidnapping of Heidi Allen. Gary is currently serving his sentence in Cayuga Correctional Facility. The only problem is, he's probably innocent. It all started on Easter Day, April 3rd, 1994. 18-year-old Heidi Allen opened up D&W convenience store at 5:50 a.m. By 7:58 a.m., a customer alerted a passing patrol car to tell him that no one was inside the store. Heidi's car keys were on the counter of the store, and a maroon station wagon was outside. Nothing inside the store was out of place. Hundreds of people searched for Heidi, but she was never found, and no one has reported seeing her since. After hearing about Heidi's disappearance, a man named Richard Thibodeau went to the police to tell him that he was in the store that day. Police realized that Richard made Heidi's last purchase, 2 boxes of cigarettes, at 7:42 a.m. 1 month after Heidi was last seen, in May 1994, Richard Thibodeau was charged for her kidnapping. Richard's brother, Gary Thibodeau, was arrested on the same charges 3 months later, in August of 1994. Although there was no physical evidence, police were confident they got the right guys. This is how the police believe the kidnapping happened. After Richard purchased 2 boxes of cigarettes, the 2 brothers forced Heidi out of the store. A witness, interviewed by police, claimed to see 2 men leading the young woman into a van. However, the witness could not identify what the men looked like. Police believe they put Heidi into Richard's black and white van and drove to Gary's house in the town of Mexico, New York, about 8 miles away from the store. Another witness claimed to have seen a 2-tone van swerving through the town of Mexico, with the driver apparently struggling with something behind him. Multiple neighbors reported seeing a black and white van parked in Gary's driveway that morning. Police claim that hours after the kidnapping, Gary and his girlfriend drove to Massachusetts, where their car broke down. They had to replace the drive shaft 2 days later, on April 5th, according to a receipt found from a mechanic shop from Massachusetts. A day later, on April 6th, at 10 a.m., a witness claimed to see Richard and another man, which police believed to be Gary, carrying an 8 to 10 foot long clear plastic object into the woods in Palermo, New York. But when police searched the woods, they found nothing. At Gary's trial, 2 inmates testified that Gary talked about Heidi's disappearance while in jail. Gary denied that he ever talked about that when he took the stand during his trial. But it didn't matter. Gary was convicted of first-degree kidnapping in June of 1995 and sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. 3 months later, in September of 1995, his brother, Richard, was acquitted of all charges. Both of the brothers maintained their innocence. This is how their side of the story went. Richard admitted that he was at the store that day. The receipt from his purchase proved that, but authorities had no proof that Gary was there. The brothers claimed they were not together that morning. Gary said he never went to the store that day, and claims he was sleeping until he got woken up from a call by Richard. Gary said that the neighbors were wrong about Richard's van being in his driveway that morning, and that in fact it happened a week after Heidi's disappearance. Richard said he never went to his brother's house that day. After returning home from the store, Richard's family drove to the house of his girlfriend's relatives for Easter dinner. On the way, he saw police tape at the convenience store and called deputies to give a statement. Richard gave police fingerprint, blood, and hair samples. His van was searched, and no trace of Heidi was found. Witnesses' stories contradict one another. One witness testified that Richard's van passed by in New Haven, at the same time that other witnesses claimed that Richard's van was at Gary's house. Gary denied ever going to Massachusetts, and prosecutors were unable to prove that the receipt from the auto repair shop was Gary's. Although prosecutors claimed that Gary and his girlfriend went to Massachusetts together, Gary's girlfriend was witnessed shopping around town the day that they were supposedly out of town. Richard also denied ever carrying an object into the woods, and his boss testified that he was working that day. There are reports that Heidi worked as a drug informant for police. In 2013, a woman named Tanya Priest told investigators that her friend, James Steen, had confessed to her in 2006. He said that him and 2 other men, named Roger Breckenridge and Michael Boyer, had kidnapped Heidi and beaten her to death. A woman named Jennifer Westcott said in the secretly recorded phone call that those men brought Heidi to her house after they kidnapped her. If Heidi was actually a drug informant, those 3 men had a motive to kill her because they were all involved in selling drugs. Despite those witnesses' confessions, all of Gary's requests for retrials have been rejected. Gary is in bad health and has been given only months to live, and it looks like he may die in prison for a crime that he did not commit.